بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين. أيها الأخوة والأخوات الطلاب والطالبات قسم الاقتصاد وقسم إدارة الأعمال بكلية الاقتصاد والعلوم الإدارية بجامعة الإمام، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته، وأرحب بكم مرة أخرى في الحلقة رقم 30 the 30th session number 30, okay, or 30. And in this session we will look at, of course, we'll do some exercises on what we have covered last time in that session, in session 29. I'll give you the agenda of this session today, and then I will take you to the slides. So the first thing that we'll do today, or in this session, in this final session, is start with an exercise, all right, on that this issue of adding that final the S to the verbs when they end in consonant and Y, or a vowel and a Y. Then we'll take an exercise. Then we'll look at the irregular singular verbs, all right, and what happens to them, like has and does and goes. Then another exercise, and then we have a listening exercise. And of course, that's like a story that you'll have to complete. Then after that, we'll look at question forms, okay, in the simple present, and then a final note, two final notes actually about the single, the present simple. Then I will give you some homework assignment to do in this book, all right, and of course that is very important, right, that to do that, and then. Very briefly, I will explain through a slide the object pronouns, because as you of course have noticed, we constantly used pronouns, only the subject pronoun, but we also have used the object pronouns. So you will see in one of the slides about the object pronouns and what happens, of course, to them. And then the final thing, of course, is just references, pointing or indicating that I have used these two books, the book by Azar and this book, all right, this is one, and it is available in bookstores in town, all over, of course, the country, and this one is the one that I have used for writing. Plus I will tell you, of course, what to do, some other extra exercises that you should do. So let's go through the slides for today, okay? That, of course, we have, of course, seen in session 29, and now we have an exercise. All right, should be exercise 1, but since I kind of looked at it as one session or as one lesson, all right, use the words in italics to complete the sentences. You have these words, of course. Number 1, pay and always, cry, seldom, study, stay, usually, fly, carry, always, buy, seldom, worry, and enjoy. All right, Boris, and by the way, this exercise again is in your Azar book, in your grammar book, or grammar textbook. So Boris, his bills on time. Of course, here, notice that we have to use these two words, pay and always. Always is a frequency adverb, so it comes first, as we know. Right after the subject, we have the frequency adverb, and it is always. So Boris always pays. Again, we add S. And by the way, why we add S only? Because this verb, pay, ends with a vowel plus the vowel A here, plus Y. So we only add S. So Boris always pays his bills on time. Number 2, you have cry and seldom. Now what happens to this? Notice that it ends with a consonant plus Y. And do you remember what we do in that case? Now, our baby seldom cries. We change that, right? That, of course, Y to I and add ES Our baby seldom cries at night. Study. Paul, again, this one ends with what? Y, but before that we have the consonant D or D. So Paul studies at the library every day. All right, and number 4, you have the verb stay and the frequency adverb usually. So we start again right after the subject. We get the frequency adverb, which is usually. So we say Laura usually, and then again the verb here ends with a and y, a plus y, and in that case it's just like pays. So we add s only. So Laura usually stays home at night. Fly. Okay, Konyu is a pilot. He flies. We have what? A consonant and then a y here. So in this case, of course, we change the y to I and then add es. So he flies a plane. Carol, right, always carries. Again, it's a consonant and y, so carries her books to class. Carol always carries her books to class. And seldom plus buy. So Anne seldom buys new clothes. Okay, worry. Tina is a good student, but she worries about her grades. So we add, of course, es after we change the y. And the last one, the final, of course, sentence, the verb enjoy, right? Of course, what we do is we add that s because we have a vowel plus the y. Next, I think we have, irregular singular verbs. Look at the verbs here. Has, okay, so have, we have has, does, and goes. Have, do, and go have irregular forms for third person singular. So in case the subject is he, okay, in case the subject is he or Ahmed or Khalid or Abdulaziz or Abdullah, just singular. What happens is that have becomes has. The do becomes does, and go becomes goes. So have becomes has, and this is an example. And by the way, this is a symbol, phonetic symbol, has. You say has, and you can find that in the dictionary. All right. And do becomes does. All right, does, right? So you can say, as an example, well, let's take go first, and then, so go becomes goes, right, goes. So he has a book, or he has breakfast at 6 o'clock. He or she does her homework, right, constantly, or at night, and he goes to work at 8. He goes to work at 8. All right. Examples. Of course, irregular singular verbs, has, does, goes. We have examples here. I have a book. He has a book. I do my homework. She does her homework. They go to school. She goes to school. And he, she, it plus has. That's, of course, has, right? It has to have that has, and he, she, it, of course, that do becomes does, and he, she, it plus goes. All right. And these arrows again just explain, or just for the purpose of clarification. Okay. Next slide is an exercise. Use the given verbs to complete the sentences. You have the verbs here. You have do, have, go, have, do, go, and then go. All right. Pierre always his homework. Now what do we do? What do we do here? We just said in the previous slide the do becomes does because we have one person here. So always does his homework. And then we always what? Do we change it to does? Again, notice the subject is we, so it has to stay as is. So we do not change it, so we always do our homework. Have. Yuko and Hamid, right, their homework. Again, 2 guys, so have, not change, no change here. And then Mrs. Chan, Chan, right, a car. So that, of course, have becomes has. So Chen has a car. And Andy, go or goes, one person, goes to school every day. Jessica, one person again, has, not have, has a snack every night around 10. And, oh, by the way, here, that has to be changed. So let me change it very quickly, because that's one person, and it's very good that we have, of course, detected that mistake. So let me just do that. Sometimes it's even good to have that mistake and we do it together as we go through the slide. It helps. So that Andy here goes to school every day. It's one person, not go, so goes. Jessica has a snack every night around 10. Do. Sarah seldom does her homework. And then we do exercises in class every day. Again, we, that's plural. Go, go. We have to have one here and one here. So Roberto goes downtown every weekend. He and his wife, that's plural. So it now becomes not just one person. He and his wife go shopping. And then go, and then the last one is, of course, my friends often what? Go or what? My friends. Again, that's another thing. What? Can you correct it? My friends. Not my friend. We have what? Plural. My friends goes to the beach or go. It has to be go. And I'm glad that we have also found out that mistake. So let's correct it to go. It's very helpful to do it that way. So now we have go. My friends, that's of course plural, often go to the beach. Okay. Now listen to the story. Complete the sentences with is, has, does, or goes. Okay? Listening number 9. And this is the story. As you can see, we have, of course, some missing words, right? And they are, of course, either is, there will be is, has, does, or goes throughout the whole text. So let's listen to, all right. So let's listen again to the story. Let's listen to the story. This is the first time. I will play it twice. I will play it twice.
Exercise 18, page 65. Listen to the story. Complete the sentences with is, has, does, or goes. Listen and read the words you hear.
Marco is a student. He has an unusual schedule. All of his classes are at night. His first class is at 6 p.m. every day. He has a break from 7:30 to 8 o'clock. Then he has classes from 8 to 10 o'clock. He leaves school and goes home at 10 o'clock. After he has dinner, he watches TV. Then he does his homework from midnight to 3 or 4 in the morning. Marco has his own computer at home. When he finishes his homework, he usually goes on the internet. He usually stays at his computer until the sun comes up. Then he does a few exercises, has breakfast, and goes to bed. He sleeps all day. Marco thinks his schedule is great, but his friends think it is strange.
End of chapter 3.
Okay, I'll play it again and then complete, of course, the sentences with one of these words. Okay, and you do it as we listen. Okay, let's listen one more time.
Exercise 18, page 65. Listen to the story. Complete the sentences with is, has, does, or goes. Listen and write the words you hear.
Marco is a student. He has an unusual schedule. All of his classes are at night. His first class is at 6 p.m. every day. He has a break from 7:30 to 8 o'clock. Then he has classes from 8 to 10 o'clock. He leaves school and goes home at 10 o'clock. After he has dinner, he watches TV. Then he does his homework from midnight to 3 or 4 in the morning. Marco has his own computer at home. When he finishes his homework, he usually goes on the internet. He usually stays at his computer until the sun comes up. Then he does a few exercises, has breakfast, and goes to bed. He sleeps all day. Marco thinks his schedule is great, but his friends think it is strange.
End of chapter 3.
Okay, so we have is, has, goes, has, does, has, goes, is, and is. Marco is a student. He has an unusual schedule. Again, an unusual. Unusual starts with a vowel, so we have that an unusual schedule. And again, because we're talking about the schedule is singular, so it has to be with an. So Marco is a student. He has an unusual schedule. All of his classes are at night. His first class is at 6 p.m. every day. He has a break from 7:30 to 8. Then, okay, that's not the, so it has to be, again, we have to add that N here. All right. And, all right. Then he, what? Then he has classes from 8 to 10. He leaves school and goes home at 10. After he has dinner, he watches TV. Then he does his homework from midnight to 3 or 4 in the morning. Marco has his own computer at home. When he finishes his homework, he usually goes on the internet. He usually stays at his computer until the sun comes up. Then he does a few exercises, has breakfast, and goes to bed. He sleeps all day. Marco thinks his schedule is great, but his friends think it is strange. Okay, so that's the story and all the words that, of course, must be used to complete it. By the way, you notice that we have in our pronunciation of this word here, the internet. I just wanted to point out, we say on the internet, the internet. The reason I pronounce that one the is because the word that comes right after it starts with a vowel, which is I, right? So we say the internet, right? We can say the apple, the internet, the end, the interesting story, and all that. All right. Now we have question forms, simple present, as we of course have seen. Do I, do you, do we, do they? These are, of course, yes, no questions. Do Muhammad and Ahmed, right? Plus the main verb, right, which is the simple form of the verb. And here, of course, we have examples. Okay. Do I like coffee? Do you like coffee? Do we like coffee? Do they like coffee? Do Muhammad and Ahmed like coffee? All right. Yes, I do. Normally, with yes, no questions, as I said earlier, we have short answers. Yes, I do. No, I don't. Yes, if it is, of course, positive, and no, if it is negative. All right. And here's another one with, of course, does, in case the subject, of course, is he or she. All right. So does he, does she, does it, does Ahmed, and does the student, main verb, again, and simple form. Examples are here. Okay, does she like coffee? Does he like coffee? Does it like coffee? Does Ahmed like coffee? Does the student like coffee? yes, he does, okay, or no, he doesn't, okay. And final note, okay, final notes actually, we'll have one. In questions with be, okay, as the main and only verb, in case the question, if we have questions, in questions with be as the main verb, the subject follows be. In simple present questions with verbs other than be, the subject comes between does or do and does and the main verb. All right, another final note here, the simple present tense expresses then habits or repeated actions. Some adverbs are used with it. These adverbs are always, usually, often, sometimes, seldom, never. They are called frequency adverbs because they express the frequency of action. What this basically means is that المقصود انه احنا ايش the simple present tense ايش يستخدم للحديث عن ايش الاشياء المتعود عليها اللي تحدث دائما and دائما يكون في بعض الادverbs المستخدمه العبارات التكرار like always and always, usually, often, sometimes, seldom and never. احنا طبعا we call them frequency adverbs لانهم ايش يشيروا الى ايش تكرار العمل او تكرار الشيء. And وهذا طبعا يبين كيف انه this just tells us that it is not in the past, it's not of course in the future, it basically happens throughout. Okay. And here are some examples again. I always get up at 5 and take a shower. Ahmed has breakfast at 6 a.m. and goes to work by car. Ahmed and his family always have dinner together. The sun rises in the east and sets in the west. And my son is in high school. He has classes. He has classes from 7. So let me just add a little bit, just ES here. He has classes. He has classes from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. All right, so very quickly, let me go back to the simple present tense start, when we started it, of course. And I think it is on, I think it should be here. Yeah, this is the simple present tense. Again, we said that it is used. الsimple present tense يستخدم لليش؟ الكلام عن الحقائق, okay, facts, regular activities, permanent situations, planned programs and schedule. Okay. طبعا احنا we looked at these examples كما قلنا ايش؟ The present tense is in English is used to talk about facts. طبعا هنا I have done some correction. The sun rises in the east and sets, okay, in the west. And it actually, in the previous slide that you had before, the verb that I had here was S-I-T-S, and it actually is spelling, the correct spelling for it is S-E-T-S, and I was kind of poetic, thinking, you know, in a different way, so I used S-I-T-S, and the correct spelling for it is S-E-T-S. So the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. The next example is our teachers, or our teacher speaks, right? Arabic, and again we add S because it's singular. Rabbits run faster than turtles, and people sleep. All of these are facts, and all of these, what? Regular activities. You usually get up at 5. Bankers usually get to work early. Ahmed goes to work by car. He leaves work at about 3. And permanent situations, like for example, this example, I don't want to do some kind of for a theme, but anyway, Al-Thame is one of the largest food companies in Saudi Arabia, and it sells all kinds of food. Okay, and then for planned, you, for example, have a flight. The flight to Jeddah, the first flight to Jeddah leaves at 6. Classes at Imam University start. Again, start, no S here because, again, this is plural. And we have a party tomorrow. It is not, or it's not going to take long. It starts at 8 p.m. and finishes at 10. And now, very important, okay? Let me flash it again. Very important, and very important. What is it that is very important? Is homework. You need to do this homework here, which is exercises 23 to 47. Where? In your grammar book. Your grammar book, of course, is this one. Your grammar book is this one. All of these homework, all of these, of course, exercises must be done. They're very helpful. Go to that, of course, that book. I think they start, I don't know where, but they start, yeah, they start from pages, 23 to 47. The point is that it is the third edition, though. I have actually pointed out that very important. It's the third edition of the book. Okay, so do all of these exercises, and you, of course, will have a very good idea about the use of the simple present tense. And I have spent so much, of course, explaining it. We've looked at, of course, the form, the examples, and examples with singular and with plural, to the point that maybe you'll ask yourself and say, come on, I mean, this is too much. And how many exercises and how many, basically slides that you have for us. But you know what? That's very important, because it's one of the tenses that, of course, we have to work on extensively. Plus, of course, I had to, of course, choose between either giving you a lot of, giving you just bits and pieces of other tenses without you, of course, understanding them very well, or focusing on one. And I've chosen, of course, to just only discuss that present simple tense extensively, give you a lot of exercises from the book, and of course, just mainly from the book and from other, of course, texts, and that way I think it would be more helpful. I also, try to give you some of the exercises that are there from, the listening exercises, and they are very important, especially in the pronunciation of like the ending verbs. All right. I do not have enough time to, of course, go through the, other things like other tenses. I wish I do. I would have done that. The other textbook, of course, that you need to also look at is the Get Ready to Write, and we only finished just one chapter, but we need to do more. Look at chapter 2 and 3, and this just go through the exercises. Well, بنهاية هذه الحلقات, I hope that you have learned from what I have explained, and what I want you to do is basically listen more to the, just spend a lot of time listening to the language. Read, okay, whatever you get in just kind of simple texts, because now at this level you can focus on simple texts. Spend a lot of time just listening. You can have listen to Channel 2, some radio stations, pick up some CDs from the bookstores and listen to them. That way you can, of course, improve your English. أرجو أن تكونوا قد استفدتم من هذه المادة، وأتمنى لكم التوفيق في حياتكم الدراسية والعملية، وشكرا لكم. وبنهاية هذه الحلقة نهاية هذه الحلقة، حلقة رقم 30، أود أن أشكر القائمين على هذا المشروع، مشروع عمادة التعليم عن بعد والانتساب المطور. أشكر على رأسهم معالي مدير الجامعة، والأخوة القائمين في العمادة، والأخوة القائمين على التصوير في هذا الاستوديو. أشكركم أيضا، أرجو لكم التوفيق، وأتمنى لكم التوفيق والسداد في هذه المادة وفي المواد الأخرى. وشكرا لكم، والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.